The British Empire in 1858, the organisation of the India was assumed control by the British Crown from the East India Company and there were no further annexation. The British government straightforwardly accepted the power and duty concerning Indian organisation in 1858, from the East India Company. In this manner the British Crown turns into the sovereign leader of India and Governor-General of India was likewise structured as emissary of India. The leaders of regal states were guaranteed by the British government that their independence and opportunity would not be infringed upon later on and Governor-General of India would manage them as emissary of India. The British government endeavoured to present different changes in Indian government through the demonstrations of 1861, 1892, 1909, 1919 and 1935. The changes were additionally planned to conciliate Indian individuals and pioneers of the Congress, which spoke to the intelligent people of India from various strolls of life. Though the components of patriotism were known to Indians, yet it for all intents and purposes created in British period. There were numerous explanations behind it. The British administered over India to their greatest advantage. Indians understood their intentions. They were tired and mistreated by outsider principle. Their endeavour to meddle in religious and social practices goaded the Indians and their displeasure brought about the Furnished Revolt of 1857. The British smashed the revolt, yet they couldn't pound the soul of patriotism among Indians. The English training was acquainted in India with set up the representatives and to rationally prevail upon Indians. Be that as it may, when Indians considered the European history they started to think as far as Indian opportunity from British bondage. The sector of Bengal in 1905 by Curzon angered the Indians and there started a furor for opportunity development in the nation. The parcel of Bengal by Lord Curzon in 1905 prompted Swedish development and dissent exhibitions by Indians which brought about the rise of radical components inside the Congress. The detestable structure behind this was self-evident. In East Bengal the Muslims, politically not so much progressed but rather more faithful to British than Hindus, would be in a lion's share, while in Bengal the Bengalis would frame minority by the consideration of Bihar and Orissa. In this way the Bengalis would be separated from their kiths and kins. The Bengali Hindus, loathed and feared by Curzon for their progressed political ideas, would form minority in the two provinces, and a thin wedge would be driven between the Hindus and the Muslims of Bengal. It was undoubtedly an all-inclusive strategy to demolish the early patriotism in Bengal. Abusing Hindu-Muslim distinction at all dimensions of open life was an imperative normal for British standard and the administration attempted its best to rehearse this strategy as the understandable and the most reasonable to sustain their mastery in India. The harming of Indian cerebrum or the brainwashing of many genuine patriots by the British rulers in light of a legitimate concern for British government was a standard component of the then principle. The advancement of Hindus or Muslims was regardless of to British, however they were significantly stressed over the solidarity of the two, which all around would antagonistically influence their interests. So they began playing keenly, turning one network against the other. The abuse of common distinction was taken to assist statures by Lord Minto, who in close joint effort with Lord Morley, consolidated collective portrayal in the new gatherings made under the Minto-Morley reforms. The Minto-Morley changes therefore gave a perpetual shape to the approach counterpoise of local against local, started by Lord Curzon. Indians were politically partitioned into collective compartments, to defeat the developing national solidarity. The seed of Pakistan was sown. The parcel of Bengal in 1905 conveyed a type of would-like to Bengali Muslims who were politically, socially, financially and socially pounded after the fall of Muslim principle in Bengal in 1757. The trauma proceeded and when in 1905 the British government separated Bengal into two sections to take care of their managerial issue, the Hindus, for the most part of the subcontinent and especially of the Bengal propelled an extreme exhibition battle to the degree that even the British specialist frightened and at last cowed down before the Hindu unsettling. Then again Muslims of Bengal upheld the segment plot which made them dominant part in the recently framed territory and furthermore get their due offer in the organization and monetary circles. Yet, the Hindu restriction to the plan was negative to their expectation and goal. This awareness of the Muslim Bengal brought forth certain political associations, some of which assumed essential job in the political field of Bengal, as well as the whole submainland. The main Muslim political association which appears after the parcel of Bengal was designated Mohammedan Common Union, with the goal of joining the Mohammedans of new territory of East Bengal and Assam into a conservative body and speaking to government perspectives and desires of Muslims in social and political issues. The Muslims of Bengal before long understood that the issues of the Muslims of Bengal couldn't be unraveled locally, thus they promptly started to sort out the Muslims of everywhere throughout the sub-landmass to receive progressively viable system to defend their rights opposite their adversary networks. A definitive aftereffect of these endeavors was the arrangement of the All India Muslim League in 1906. Demand for a separate state. The British Empire's troublesome arrangements, which were gone for making a crack among Hindus and Muslims so as to weaken any potential firm contradicting power, started in a vast scale in the mid-1900s, when it began to fear the apparent becoming stronger of the Hindu patriot development. So as to balance this apparent risk, the colonialist British government started to effectively bolster Muslim association, a political substance initiated by Muhammad Ali Jinnah that meant to speak to sub-mainland's Muslim interests. The British set these two gatherings against each other, and in the end the Muslim group was compelled to request